Hey there, this is Katherine. I'm sharing the Happy Holidays Village set, Slimline Shadow box set from Diamond Press. This is part of an Autoship program from HSN. And I'm going to share a couple of cards using the Slimline box. And then I'm also going to make several cards using these corner stamps right here. They are absolutely stunning, so be sure and stay tuned for that. Something I always love about Diamond Press is they always include on these big kits pictures of color instructions, and they're amazing. I'm very much a visual learner, so I appreciate them including instructions to help you make these projects. And I've got another video, a couple of videos with this set. I'll be sure and link to it. That probably has a little bit more detailed instructions than I did in this one. But let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm going to begin by stamping a bunch of these houses. What I like to do when I get a set like this is, especially if they're stamping or die cutting, I'm going to stamp a bunch of these in different colors. And then that way I can cut them when I want them. And so I'll also have a bunch of them to pull from when I get ready to make cards later. And then I can mix and match them. And so when I'm watching TV or something, I can die cut a bunch of those. So it's just a little quick tip on how I like to kind of construct these cards and also have extra little bits on hand to keep my craft stash full. And I'm going to start this one by, I've cut some dark green cardstock. I'm pretty sure I'm doing this backwards. I'm left-handed, and I think I may have looked at the instructions wrong. But again, there are those color instructions, but you're basically going to glue a top piece and a bottom piece, and they want you to do 2 layers to make it super strong. So most of my cardstock is probably 80 pound at least, if not more. And so putting 2 together, you're going to have a nice sturdy box. So I'm just taking that tab that's on the bottom and I'm folding that and gluing that edge together. And then I've run through my machine a piece of pattern paper I'm going to put inside. Now I'm making notice in this video, you can see I'm pointing to the stamped embossed images. I kind of messed them up a little bit. What I should have done is stamp one at a time and emboss it. I used my stamp positioner to make sure I got a good image, but I didn't realize that since it was kind of a small one, I was smudging and smearing a little bit of my embossing ink. So it ended up being a little bit messier on the front than I would have wanted, but I just added some Stickles glitter glue to fix that, and I think it kind of pulled it back together to make it usable. So that's just a little tip on that if you're going to emboss the longer images like that, to do one at a time. Okay, so I'm going to glue down, I have cut these 2 kind of snow drifts with the trees. I did put some glitter glue on these trees and let them dry really well, and then you're going to trim down one of the 2 trees and snow drifts, and then you're going to glue them together based on the instructions. And then you'll just take the little tab, they make it all so easy and so smart, and you're just going to glue that down and place it where you want it to be in your shadow box. And so I'm just kind of taking a second here to make sure I've got it lined up pretty much where I want it to. Be sure to let that dry really well. You could use dry adhesive, but I am using liquid on this because I just feel like it's such a good adhesion, and it also gives me a little bit of time to play with it and make sure that I don't have a lot of mistakes. Because I make a lot of mistakes, and so I have to have a little bit of that wiggle time with that liquid glue to let me pull things apart and put them back together correctly. Okay, so I've got my houses laid out where I want them to go. I'm going to use a little foam tape on the top of this red one because it is the tallest one and needs a little more support. I'll glue down the bottom of that onto my snowdrift. And then I will finish off these other couple of houses. I love the way that they look nestled in these little trees. And then you can see on the left-hand side, I've got a little container full of trees and these houses. So those are all the ones I was stamping. I cut a bunch of them out. I still have some left. But it just gives you, again, a bunch of things to kind of play with. Sometimes you're tired. Sometimes you're not inspired. Sometimes you need a really quick card. So it's a great way to have these little bits on hand when you do need something. And I love that they put two different kinds of trees. There's kind of this little skinnier tree, and then there's a little bit of a wider tree, so you can kind of mix and match those together. You could add some snow on there or some glitter glue on those two. You could just do a lot of things with them. You could stamp them in white and color them with your Copics if you wanted to. So there's a lot of versatility to that, which I always love. And then I'm going to glue down that last green tree. And then I will come back with the banner. There's this really cool banner that they included. You can see in the instructions, you get the banner and then you get the little pieces on the end. It's very clever. So you're just going to put a little glue on the edge, and then based on where you place it, it gives you this 3-dimension. It's so clever. I thought that was a great idea. And I just stamped it. I die cut it out of a light blue paper and then a little bit darker blue ink. Look at that. It's so clever. All right, I'm going to use a little bit of foam tape here. Make sure that dries. And then I'll pop this banner up, and that will conclude this card. But you can see on the edges, those corner stamps. I'm going to talk more about those, so hang around. Those things are really awesome. You can do a lot with them, and I was so excited to realize that they had them in this set. It was a great stamp set to get. Okay, so let me get that tape on there, that foam, and add it to my card, and there is my first one. And look how it stands up. So cute. All right, let's move on. We're going to start with a shaker for this one. So I have cut a slimline card base. I have cut a front and added a piece of acetate to it to create my shaker card. I've got this beautiful darker pink with the trees. I'm just going to do one layer on this because I am going to keep it pretty flat because I want to turn it into the shaker piece here. So I'm not going to have that added tab that I did in the first card that would give the dimension, because this is just going to be a flatter card until I add on the shaker elements to it. Because if I had the box, it wouldn't work, obviously, because it's open. So I'm going to glue down all of my components flat onto the card, and then I will work on adding the shaker parts where I want them to be. I'm going to use some sequins that have been in my stash for a long time, but I'm going to glue down these snowflakes, and I'm just using my front panel to kind of guesstimate where it's going to go. I didn't like where that snowflake was going to be because you weren't really going to see it. And so I'm going to make sure that you can see it a little bit better in that window. You're going to want to let any of your shaker pieces that you've glued down dry really well. Otherwise, they're going to stick all over the place. So I'm going to definitely take a second and let those dry. But before I finish, I want to add some sequins to my card for the inside. So I'm just going to place them around in assorted places. I've had this bag of sequins a long time. It's from Crafter's Companion. It came in a card kit from long ago, and it was a huge bag, very generous bag, and so I'm still working my way through it. So I'm going to take my sticky tool and add these sequins. Be sure to let them dry really well so they'll stay put when the shaking begins. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry, and I'll come back and lay out the rest of where I want my sequins to go. Okay, so let's get some of those out. Everything is dry. You can see I've added foam to the back of my windows, and I did go around all of them because I want to make each one into the little window, so it will stay in its little place. And then instead of just leaving it open where it would just shake everywhere. So I'm going to add a fair amount of these to each place. I'm going to use that block just to hold down my slimline card so my sequins aren't flying all over the place. And it allows me to kind of have some space to measure sort of where the sequins are going to go. And then I'm going to finish that area off with a few of these little small iridescent sequins. They're pretty tiny, but they add a little bit more of a sparkle. I'm going to add some of my anti-static tool around the edges and a little bit in the window to hopefully keep all my sequins from jumping. And I also have taken off all of the foam tape, and I'm going to press the liner, I should say, the foam tape liner. And now I'm going to press it down there, and it looks pretty straight. So I'm pleased with the way it turned out. Shaker cards can be a little tricky, but this is the way that I like to do them. Okay, I'm going to finish this off with a Happy Holidays banner that's in that darker blue. And then I did cut a couple of snowflakes in that darker pink to finish this off. And I love the colors and the way that this one turned out. Okay, whole lot of shaking going on. All right, so now to these corner stamps that I have referenced. As I was making these cards, I saw those and I thought, oh my goodness, those are absolutely gorgeous. And so I started playing with them. So I'm going to stamp out I think there are 4 sets of them included in one of the stamp sets. So this is where the stamp positioner has come in very handy. I lined my 2 up on one side, and then I just switched it around to the opposite side. I'm making sure I've got a good impression. And then look at that. How beautiful. And this is the holly. I'm stamping this one out in Gina K amalgam ink. This is obsidian that I use all the time. I'm going to take my Copics to that and color these little sprigs of holly. Look how quick and easy that is. This would be an awesome set to do mass production of cards. My husband even commented, and he never really comments on these things, but he was like, oh, are those going to be our Christmas cards? And I'm going to make them at the end, so hang on till the end. You'll see the finished product. But they are really this quick and easy. This video is not sped up that much, and it just doesn't take a lot of time, and they're so beautiful. I am embossing this one, so I added some of my Ranger embossing ink on there, and I'm going to take the gold, Princess Gold Ranger, which is my favorite gold to use, and I am going to run this over my stamped image, and then I'll come back and heat emboss this. And you'll see, oh my goodness, I just was like, oh, I couldn't stop. So much fun. Turned out so beautiful. So that's that same holly leaf that I used on the first Slimline card with the green panel. Same holly leaf, and now I've turned this into a completely different panel. So just loving this. And it looks so great on that red cardstock. Okay, this is the next set of those corner sets. And love the graphic image of that. I've got one, I stamped one on just 2 edges, and then I came back and did it again onto a card base. I just had a card base lying around, and I wanted to try it on there as well. And so I'm going to stamp this onto my card base, and I love these corners. So you could just do half the card if you wanted to. You could add some ribbon to the other half to kind of balance it out or something like that. You don't have to use all 4, but I was really loving the way that it made these super quick panels. Look at that. So easy. This is the next one. I guess this is the 4th one. And I'm using a bright yellow cardstock and then a bright yellow ink. And I'm going to stamp these out. And again, I'm going to finish all of these off into cards. So be sure and stay till the end. So if you got this set, this Autoship, and you haven't pulled it out and played with it, I encourage you to do so. Even if you're not making holiday cards, look how fun these are. These are a lot of fun for winter and birthday celebration. And here is just looking back on the 2 I made. And then I wanted to show you the ones that I made off camera using the components I used from those corners. This is that confetti launcher set from Diamond Press. I just heat embossed that, added it onto an oval die cut, added a little bit of confetti on there. Super cute and easy. Here is that more kind of graphic one. I just added a thankful word cut on there. I've got these dies from Papertrey ink that are really, really old that I found in my stash and I've been using this season. And they have a lot of great sentiments in it. So there's thankful, and then the other ones are going to be merry. And here it is with the snowflakes. I used some pearl cardstock, and then I added some of that same pearl paper with the snowflakes cut. And look at this one. I mean, I can't even tell you how quick and easy that is. It was so quick. And here is one, same thing, not embossed, but stamped. 2 seconds to color. I mean, wow. Anyway, you can tell I'm digging these corner stamps. So if you have this Autoship, be sure to pull it out, give it a try. If not, keep an eye out. Sometimes Diamond Press or HSN will bring back these auto ships. And this one has been really fun. I hope that you found some inspiration. And be sure to subscribe and like and share. And thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.